welcome back to The Law, live audio wrestling here on all of your podcast providers, video on YouTube, or Sunday night's main event, S-Mini Radio. Tid is trying to pop me during our intro here, and it kind of worked. Shouts out to Boris, Donnie, and Dax holding the fort down on the main show on TSN this week. It was a great show. Check out at SundayNightsMainEvent.com or SMiniRadio.com for pretty much everything coverage of combat sports and pro wrestling. Majority pro wrestling. We're the big combat sports guys here. And speaking of combat sports, I think we may have seen potentially the greatest knockout of all time in the history of combat sports this past weekend at UFC 300 when Justin Gaethje defended his BMF title. I can't even keep my face straight as I'm saying that, but he defended his BMF title against the one Max Bless Holloway, and we got quite the highlight reel. But Chris, you want to take it away and explain what happened if anybody missed that fight?
Yeah, he got knocked the fuck out.
He got knocked the fuck out.
That's what happened. Listen, wow. To say that Max Holloway isn't the pound for pound best boxer with the largest heart in the world of UFC. I mean, I can't think of another guy. I honestly cannot. There's a couple of things that you know that are like telltales in the world of fighting. One of those things is what Max Holloway does. You know, like when Dustin Poirier starts tugging at his shorts, you know shit's about to get ramped up. Right, that's one of the tells.
When he does his hair flip too, when he flips his hair, you know he's getting serious now.
Right, like these are tails, as they call them in the world of poker.
Rashad, when he started grabbing them nipples and started squeezing them nips,
I mean,
you knew stuff was about to go down. Hey, dude, I watched Chuck Liddell break in half like an ice block. No pun intended. After Rashad grabbed his nipples,
didn't what's his name, Herky Jerky? The Herky Jerky fighter who did a bunch of movies. Oh, Keith Jardine. Yeah, the Dean of Mean. He used to like tweak his nipples before starting a fight.
That was a thing with the whole camp over there.
Yeah, weird. But when you see Max Holloway point to the center of that octagon with 10 seconds left, you know the stupidest thing you could do is to jump into that mix with him. And that's what Justin Gaethje did. And with 1 second left, one, Max Holloway catches Justin Gaethje with a right from his back pocket that ends up being, I think, the third bump on the nose.
Okay.
That Justin Gaethje had to take when he landed on his face.
24 minutes and 59 seconds is what it took to receive the nastiest knockout of all time. But Justin Gaethje broke his nose. You say 3, I say 5, and here's my 5. Okay. First break, first round. Second break, third round. Even Steven. So he pushed it this way, then he pushed it backward. Then he gets hit with that shot in the last second, right? And that's your third, technically your third break. Then his nose hits his knee because he caved into his knee and then caved into the mat. So there's your 5th break.
Wow.
5 breaks that nose took, which had just had surgery on it a couple years ago for a horribly deviated septum. And I think you're heading back to get some rhinoplasty.
I think he may need to talk to Artie Lang's doctor at this point.
No, don't do that. Look, there's not even one to work on anymore over there.
Well, I don't know if there's one to work on for Justin Gaethje anymore either.
Dude, that's going to suck if he has to get surgery and he comes out looking like Artie.
Now, let's put this up against all of the other knockouts over UFC history, not nose breaks. That would be crazy. Remember when Randy Couture got his caved in? Oof. Now, is a nose break, okay, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, is a nose break worse than having an indent in your skull where a knee hit it?
Poor Cyborg. That was not the female cyborg, the male cyborg fighter fighting Anthony Venom. It was Venom Page, wasn't it? Is the one that, and he cracked his skull and there was a hole in his head.
Absolutely, there was. Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. So, but let's talk about some of the craziest knockouts in MMA history. That one right there would have to be one of them. I mean,
Let's go the obvious though. Let's start with the obvious one.
cracked his skull open.
The obvious
Literally.
ones are like Ben Askren getting knocked out from Jorge Masvidal, and like one of the fastest knockouts, if not the fastest knockout of all time.
Mhm.
I would think that there's the head kick KO from to I forget what the guy's name is, but it was Rashad Evans. Speaking of Rashad, that head kick KO that they use all the time. Rich Franklin sending that right straight to Nate Corey's face and putting Nate Corey down. Like there's a few big ones here that could be considered the greatest knockouts.
Edson Barbosa spinning heel kick on Terry Adam. I mean, that is a highlight reel that they show as part of their intros.
We were talking about Alistair Overeem and Francis.
Francis Ngannou catching Alistair Overeem and turning him into a
dispenser.
Rock'em Sock'em robot.
I thought it was a Pez. I thought I'd seen a piece of Pez come out of
no.
Alistair's neck. No,
that wasn't Pez. That was horse meat.
Ooh, yeah. So there's lots of knockouts that we could talk about. Let's just go with our favorite ones. So you brought one up earlier before we started recording that I think has to be considered my favorite knockout because it's from the cover of my favorite UFC game of all time. My favorite video game. Speaking of video games, shouts out if you haven't seen Fallout, go watch the Fallout series. If you can get through the first episode, you'll understand what I mean. Holy crap, it's a good show. Okay, going back to video games. UFC Undisputed 3, Anderson Silva, front face kick to Vitor Belfort.
Okay. All right. If we're going to go with that, then we're going to go Lyoto Machida, front face kick.
Randy
Couture.
Or are you talking about the one he did to Vitor? Because didn't he do it to Vitor as well?
I think he did do it to Vitor as well.
I'm pretty sure he did it to Vitor. The exact same. Yeah, the same crane kick.
Yeah. All right. What else you got?
Okay, so let's go Dwayne Ludwig and Goulet, where he knocked him out and he took that face dive in like 2 seconds. That's one of my favorite knockouts of all time because of Goulet's haircut.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? The guy from TKO in Quebec? Yeah, the old TKO promotion, yeah.
Joaquin Buckley with the jump spinning back kick to the face has to go down as one of the greatest knockouts of all time.
I forgot about that. The Street Fighter kick.
Right? That just basically stopped him in motion before knocking him out.
That was a good one. I do like here we go again. Rashad Evans knocking out Chuck Liddell. That face plant was pretty nasty.
Yeah, and that was at a time where you knew that was it. It was like, Chuck's chin is done. Right?
Who else can we throw on this list? We got to have anything with Fedor, basically. Fedor and Brett Rogers. That was a good one, too, because a lot of people had their eyes on Strikeforce at the time. Like, they were watching that fight. I think that was Fedor's first American fight outside of the Affliction promotion. So his first, televised main TV fight, and he smashed Brett Rogers pretty hard. That's a pretty good knockout.
Seth Petrozelli.
Oh, geez.
Bo Slice.
That's not going up there. That was
no, and you know why it should be up there, Brady?
I know why, because of the shock value.
Because Seth Petrozelli was scared shitless at that very moment and just threw it out there like, please don't hurt me.
Wait, didn't you guys have something to do with him getting in trouble?
Was that Petrozelli?
I think that was Donnie. Donnie interviewed him or something. I'm pretty sure that had to do with Donnie.
Oh,
and he got in trouble for talking about how they told him to stand up, and next thing you know, they shut the whole promotion down. Like, I'm pretty sure your boy interviewed him after that fight right away, and he was talking about how they paid him extra money to stand up. Like, I'm pretty sure your boy got a whole promotion shut down.
Well, that wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be the first time.
I just put him on the radio and made that decision. Okay, so let's What other knockouts can we talk about here that are considered the best knockouts, like highlight reel poster worthy knockouts?
I mean, these are the ones that you go to the fans, you go to the listeners, and you say, leave that stuff in the comments, and let's find out from you what some of your favorite knockouts of all time. Doesn't have to be UFC. You know what I mean? Maybe there was some in Strike Force that were missing and stuff, right? I think it wasn't necessarily a knockout from like one shot, but you have to talk about a moment where it was almost like beaten into submission kind of knockout, like beat senseless over amount of time. And if that's the case, then I guess you got to throw in Rory McDonald and Robbie Lawler.
Oh yeah, yeah. You could all well if those are the criteria, you could throw in Matt Serra and GSP. As you were saying that, that's what I was thinking. Like someone who got beat into submission. He was like, I don't want any more of this. What the hell just happened? This guy hit me way harder than I thought I was going to get hit. But that's with the UFC and doing so many events, you could miss a million knockouts from not watching. You can't watch everything. But the lovely part about it is knockouts like Max will stand out amongst a million knockouts, amongst thousands and thousands and thousands of highlight reels. That may be the best highlight reel you'll ever see.
I think it's because what quantifies it and what qualifies it to be what it was. It was for a belt that was kind of like whatever. Who gives a shit, right? But they meant that fight means something. They meant that fight means something. And Max Holloway went out there and you were like, you know what? He is. I mean, I can't deny it. He's the baddest mofo right now. There's no doubt about it. Because of what he did in the dying seconds with 1 second left, put a guy that everybody thought was going to run through him, face planted him. And you know as well as I do, when you get knocked out and you go backwards, it's one thing. But when you land on your face unprotected, like not catching yourself with your hands free falling, the only thing that catches you is your already busted up nose, bruh, you got a lot bigger problems. All
for
right?
anyone new listening, I apologize. For anybody that's been listening for a while, you'll understand what I'm saying. You know what I think? I think it's a work.
Oh, Jesus, Murphy, mother of God, and all that is holy, Bradie.